you probably shouldn't die with a 20% echo. The following additions have and changes have been made to tombstones. Tombstones of Goetia have been added. Goetia, I don't know. Uh, Maximum 2,000, have to be at least 80. This is the one that has no weekly limitation. I figure with the introduction of the raid in 5.01, they'll release the one, that's or Tombstones of Phantasmagoria. That is a long ass name. This right here, these tomes will probably be released in correlation with Eden's Gate, if I had to guess. So they give you 4 weeks to level up your rolls and get them geared to what you want because there is no cap. Allagan Tombstones, Mendasi, and Genesis, we covered this earlier. They're no longer available. How they will retain all tombstones that are being removed, but you have to go to Ariana in Revenant's Toll or Mordana to exchange for poetics. Uh, all items that could be purchasable with Genesis and Mendasi can be purchased with poetics starting tomorrow. And tombstones of creation are being completely removed and cannot be exchanged. So if you didn't exchange them before the game went down, you were kind of shit out of luck. Players can now use the undersized party option to participate in duties after the release of Stormblood. Uh, Although you cannot use it in Great Hunt or Great Hunt Extreme where you fight Rathalos, which that would seem right. Although I don't know why I could see why you wouldn't be able to use it in the Extreme because unlike everything else where the Extreme would be 8 man, the Extreme is only 4 man. So doing it undersized there would kind of be, I don't know if it'd be hard to code, but it'd be hard to deal with. And then, of course, Great Hunt hard mode. I guess I don't see why you would be able to undersize that because it is 8 people. The Raid Finder now only lists trials and duties introduced in patch 5.0. However, Unending Coil and Weapons Refrain Ultimate can still be accessed to via the Raid Finder, which that makes sense because that was some of the harder content released in Stormblood. And I'm curious to see what they'll release in Shadowbringers for that. See, the duty finder has been adjusted as followed. Duties associated with each duty roulette category have been adjusted. Duty finder categories have been adjusted. The level 50, 60 roulette has been turned into a level 50, 60, and 70 roulette. The type and number of Allagan tombstones received from each duty roulette category has been adjusted. I don't. Before I continue on, I don't know how this will work because 50 and 60 was nice for anything that was under level 70. But if it's going to be 50, 60, and 70, that takes out a duty roulette that somebody under level 70 cannot do. And if that's the case, they're kind of screwing some people out of, a couple million XP. But let's go through this. The expert, you get 80 tombstones of Goetia, 50, 60, 70, 100 poetics, 120 Goetia, leveling 100 Goetia, trial 60, main scenario. I don't even think anybody does that anymore because you can't skip the fucking cutscenes. Alliance rage, you get 100 of each. Normal rage, you get 80 poetics, 60 Goetia, mentor, 30, and frontline 50. Of course, you will only get these and these two if you are level 80. Anything under 80, you'll get the standard just poetics. The requirements and reward for the adventure and need bonus have been adjusted. Class or job at time of registration is 70 or higher. Before it was 60. And the reward, you get one cracked Stella cluster, and two cracked planet clusters. I guess you get one for the new materia for tanks, healers, and DPS, and then two for crafters and gatherers, maybe? Of course, it says here that they can be exchanged for new materia. The weekly restriction on receiving crack clusters upon completing Orban Monastery has been removed. New enemies have been added. That is a funky looking cactuar. And can I view this image? Okay, I'm not even going to try to pull with making it bigger. That kind of looks like it has a dick on its head. Just saying. Square, I need you to fix that. New elite marks have been added. I don't know if these are... I guess these would be A ranks? No. Or maybe these are just the elite marks you can get for like the early hunts before people start spawning in A ranks and... Or start spawning in S ranks and A ranks start spawning regularly. This guy right here, as I tweeted out yesterday, looks like Rumpelstiltskin. Players can now hunt regular and elite marks in new areas. Marks defeated in new areas will also yield sacks of nuts. It's a nice name. Which can be exchanged for various items. Players must first complete following quests before taking up hunts in new areas. Get the completed quest called Nuts to You. And you can exchange the sacks here in Yulmore or here in the Crystarium. The notification will now display when an S rank elite mark spawns in your current area. This is a good addition. And what the fuck was that? I don't know, something just fell. Notification indicating a general direction of B rank marks will now be displayed when they spawn in an area. That's nice, although not really needed, I guess. And then an indication B ranks have been defeated. The Centurio Seal's cap has been increased from 1,000 to 4,000. Mark bills for older areas, except for Stormblood, can be used to open maps for their respective areas. The following additions and changes have been made to Deep Dungeons. Palace of the Dead, items in all the sacks have been adjusted, and there are Gunbreaker and Dancer's arms available. And in Heaven on High, same thing. I actually have some stuff saved up for Heaven on High, so I may actually go in and get the weapon for either the Dancer or Gunbreaker, depending on which one looks better. The Lawns expansion is an expansion of Stone, Sky, and Sea. I don't think I ever actually went into Stone, Sky, and Sea. And this kind of tells you where you do it at. You have to be level 80. And you have to complete the final quest of the main scenario. The following adjustments have been made to Logos actions in Eureka. It takes out the actions that use TP. Makes sense. PvP traits have been removed. In accordance with this change, the traits tab of the PvP profile window has been removed. I think every expansion so far there's been a big change to PvP. PvP actions for all jobs have been adjusted. Additional actions are now adjusted based on current job's role. The following adjustments have been made. TP removed, of course. The range of melee attacks has been increased from 3 to 5. That's kind of a big change. Global cooldown of actions has been increased from 2.3 to 2.4. HP recovery rate outside of combat has been increased from 10 to 20%. MP recovery rate has been increased in combat from 200 to 250, and then outside of combat from 400 to 500. Players will now be granted temporary immunity to knockback and draw-in effects after being affected by them. That's actually pretty good, especially if you have a bunch of people that are communicating and stacking knockback effects on you. And the draw-in, of course, keep multiple warriors from home ganging you and beating the shit out of you. XP you get after a match, and this is the biggest change so far I've seen in PvP. one that I've been looking for a long time. XP yielded after a match will now be granted to the job used at the time of registration rather than the current job at the end of the match. This right here, this this right here. Of course, I tweeted out yesterday. This change right here. I'm excited because there have been so many times where I go into the daily PvP or front lines, whatever, and get an 8 stack of DPS trying to level because it takes so fucking long to get in the dungeon. And nobody changes because everybody's trying to level their fucking DPS, and we get shit on because there's no healers, no tanks, nothing to keep us alive. We just go in balls to the wall, DPS shit down. I am so excited for this change because this is something that should have been in a long time ago. But moving on, the Feast PvP team season has ended. Special rewards. If you played the Feast, I tried to get teams together at certain points and never actually fell through. New items, of course, due to the volume, the new items and new recipes will not be in the patch notes. Certain items may now be sold desensitized submitted as expert deliveries or converted into materia. Certain items can no longer be sold from Heavensward. The sale prices of items have changed. The following items names have been changed. Fair Voucher has been changed to Fair Voucher 17. Rising Token, Fifth Rising, and Pumpkin Cookie to Rice Pumpkin Cookie. The following items has been changed. Icarus Wing, instead of restoring 300 TP, just creates a visual effect, and same goes for the Regain Feather. I guess that's one of the two, or maybe they create the same visual effect. Commercial engineering manuals it goes from granting 150% to XP from synthesis or gathering to grants 150% or 75% if over level 70 for 180 minutes instead of 60. So let me go through this again. It used to be 150%. Now it's still 150% if you're under level 70, but it's 75% if you're over level 70, and it goes from being 60 minutes long to, or 1 hour long to 3 hours long. The following MP recovery items will now restore a fixed amount of MP regardless of player attributes. Of course, all of them that restored MP. The main attributes of accessories have been adjusted in accordance with rebalancing the battle system. We all had heard about this. Comes with the battle system change. The main attribute of the Aetherite Earring when equipped by a tank has been changed from Vitality to Strength, and the haste attribute on certain equipment is now displayed with a plus sign rather than a minus sign. The attribute itself remains unchanged. New items available in exchange for achievement certificates have been added. Level 71 through 80 gear can now be repaired using grade 7 dark matter. That's good because I was afraid they were going to add a grade 8. I think they should just add one grade for all gear. That'd probably be better because it'd keep you from having to keep 5 or 6 different ones depending on what levels you have. Gunbreaker and Dancer have been added as required jobs for certain gear. Grade 7 and grade 8 materia have been added. Attempts to fix grade 8 materia will always result in failure when it's used as the second or later materia in advanced materia melting. So you can have one grade 8 materia in the advanced materia melting slot, and then that's it. The following adjustments have been made to materia melting. Multiple materia of the same type are present in your inventory. You may meld them in succession. So instead of, I guess, independently selecting each meld, you can do multiples of the same type. The following attributes can no longer be improved via materia: strength, vitality, dexterity, intelligence, mind. So all those materia are disappearing. So it looks like we're going to have our crafting materia, our gathering materia, and then spell speed, skill speed, tenacity, and piety, whatever you want to call it. See, the success rate for salvaging grade 5 and 6 materia when using retrieved materia has been increased. Yeah, that kind of takes out the majority of it. Well, I say that. These two materias right here were really useful. So I guess yeah, you got the crafting, gathering, spell speed, skill speed, tenacity, piety, determination, and that's it. All that I can remember, at least. The success rate for advanced melding of grade 1, 2, 3, and 4 has been increased. After watching it first time, it's now possible to skip cutscenes when questing material transmutation from Unimix. The following types of materia are no longer able to be attained, and their attribute enhancing capabilities have been removed. So this is all the materia that you can't increase the stats on. The level cap for desynthesis has been increased. Individual has been increased from 380 to 450, and cumulative from 1160 to 1370. Of course, level cap has been increased for disciples of hand and land. Elemental aspects have been removed from synthesis recipes. New crafter actions have been added. The following actions are now available to all crafter classes. That's good. And this is kind of where it gets into the point where I don't really craft, so I'm just kind of going to skip over this, especially these adjustments, because I'm not too familiar with all of the actions. See, the following additions and adjustments have been made to the crafting log. The maximum percentage to which initial quality can be raised while using high quality materials has been now displayed on recipes for which the initial quality limit may be greater or less than 50 have been added as of patch 5.0. And of course, they've really updated the UI for the synthesis window. It looks like they kind of have all your buffs here, let you know, instead of having them on a separate bar. And it looks like it has its own text window for crafting too. See, of course, this goes all over everything. Calculations for increases to progress and quality, assuming a base 100% efficiency have been adjusted. The effects of actions affecting progress and quality have been slightly reduced for recipes added prior to Shadowbringers. The difficulty of certain recipes found in Master Recipes 5 and 6 have been reduced. These are all the new actions for gatherers. New miner and botanist gathering points have been added, of course, as well as fishing points. Let's move on. New tomes of regional folklore have been added. New items that can be used for aid area reduction have been added. The amount of items received from aid area reduction has been adjusted. The following adjustments have been made to concealed gathering points. Clusters can no longer be gathered. The number of favor effects related to concealed gathering points that can be applied at once is now limited to 1. And previous active effects will be overwritten if a new favor is used. The following gather items are no longer rare or hidden. And the selling prices have been reduced accordingly. This goes over fishing. My fisher is still level 50, so it's been a while, and let alone I pretty much use provisions to level it all the way. The following additions and adjustments have been made to gathering log. Players above level 70 will now receive a maximum of 10,000 XP when trading in collectibles at 70 or star 70 1 star or lower. The amount of XP received from delivering collectibles from 60 to 70 has been increased. Of course, here's all the adjustments to the scripts. The amount of scripts received from delivering collectibles has been adjusted. Level 70 arms gear and accessories have been added to the inventory of vendors in Kugane. New items have been added to the inventory of Calamity Salvagers. New mounts have been added. I figure this is probably the new mount for the Gunbreaker. I'm not entirely sure what this one will be from. And all the, let's see, all the early tank mounts can fly. Got the War Bear, the War Panther, and the War Lion. And you got the Curl and Cavalry Elps. I don't really know how to say that. It's been a while since I've heard it pronounced. The Chocobo warnings have been added. New minions. Onto the system section. Marker board has been added to the Crystarium in accordance to the addition of a new marker board. Reduced tax rates have been adjusted. As usual with the launch of an expansion. The following additions and adjustments made to retainers. Retainers can now be registered Crystarium. You can change. You got the new races. Hairstyle and face paint obtained as rewards can now be applied to retainers during customization. The retainer level cap has been increased to 80, so there's going to be a lot of people getting their retainers up. Retainers can now be assigned Gunbreaker and Dancer jobs, which you have to have them unlocked if they have to be reset if they already have a job. The retainers must be... Oh, okay. So, to do this, the way that I understand it, so you have to have it unlocked. You got to have a copy of Modern Vocation, too. Let's see. They can't be assigned a job, but they must be at least level 60 or higher as a disciple of War Magic. Okay, that's a lot of requirements for that. New objectives have been added to delivery missions and exploration ventures. Exploration ventures are now displayed with the highest level of ventures first. The retainer interface has been redesigned and selections can now be reordered. The retainer information interface will now remain open upon retainer dismissal. However, in the event that only one retainer has been hired, the window will close as before. So, when you exit a retainer, instead of having to select the summon bell again, it looks like you can select a second retainer to do something with before you actually have to close it out. Retainer animations upon being summoned or dismissed have been adjusted to increase the responsiveness of the interface. The color of retainer nameplates has been changed to that of NPCs. Of course, there's new achievements and titles. The following additions and adjustments have been made to achievements. Certain categories have been adjusted. Achievements can now be selected via subcommand and recorded to watch list for easy access. Achievements can be filtered by completion status or type of reward. And clicking on an achievement in the relevant category will no longer automatically open its primary category. That's nice. Each achievement's primary category can be accessed by using the display filtered category subcommand. The following additions have been adjusted and adjustments have been made to recommendations window. Hunt marks are now displayed in recommendations. Sightseeing clues are now displayed. Hunt log entries for both class and Grand Company now appear in the same category, and the window can now be locked. The following additions and adjustments have been made to the Party Finder. You can now post links to your Party Finder in the chat. Cross-world party invitations to players on other worlds can now be issued in the chat. In the following additions and adjustments have been made to the party list. I like this because now it shows an HP barrier. And it now shows when maximum HP has been reduced. I guess by this down arrow. But I really love the addition of this shield. The battle animations for allied NPCs and quest battles will now always appear. The amount of glamours that could be stored in the glamour dresser has been increased from 200 to 400. We kind of figured this was coming. And the amount of glamour plates available has been increased from 10 to 15. There's been changes to the group pose. Recordable duties have been changed. The target's HP can now be displayed in increments of 0.1% when it has less than 1% remaining. This this change right here is going to create a lot of salt in the community, because not only was it bad enough when you wiped it 1% before, especially when you could tell it was a low 1%, but now you can wipe at 0.1%, which is going to piss people off and create so much salt in the community. Got a dark or light scheme for the UI. In accordance with the increased level cap, the conditions that must be set to your status as new adventure have been adjusted. Uh, so you have to play less than 168 hours and not completed the end of the story for Stormblood. Players who no longer have the new adventure status but fulfill the above requirements can restore it by using text command NA status on. Coinciding with the increased level cap, the requirements for new mentors has been adjusted. I'm not really worried about this. I don't mentor. However, as patch 5.1 to ensure that all mentors are held to the same standard, changes will be implemented to encourage mentors who qualified under the old system to attain recertification. So at 5.1, they're changing the way that mentors can gain certification. And if you do not recertify in 5.1, you will lose your certification in 5.2. The following additions and adjustments have been made to Crossworld link shells. See, you can have up to 8. You can configure it to show online members at the top and sort it by number or alphabetically. Here's some PS4 stuff. The DualShock 4 and other gamepads with the vibrate function will now vibrate when Duty Finder matchings has been completed. Great. So now, not only will you be able to hear it through your controller if it goes off and you still have it set on, your controller will also vibrate too. As if the loud noise it makes wasn't bad enough. The following additions and adjustments have been made to cutscenes. Skip over that. Position of identifying letter next to a focus target name has been changed from the end to the beginning. The following additions have been made to the map. Tells you the elevation if it's above or below you. That's actually pretty good, especially on multi-level maps. Job gauge details have been revised. The order in which character names are displayed has been adjusted in accordance with changes made to pets. The battle and other tabs of the currency window have been revised. The unlimited setting under frame rate limit in the display settings section of system configuration has been replaced with a maximum 90 FPS setting. Additions have been made to system configuration interface. Let's talk about the theme settings. Settings have been removed from the character configuration interface, and this is all the pet stuff. Additions have been added to the character configuration. Got the target tab, notification sounds, got addition to the keybind menu, got your shortcuts, your chats. This is going through all the subcommands for getting your Crossworld link shells and all your okay. So this is kind of, yeah. Additions have been made to auto translation. Additions have been made to PS4 autocomplete dictionary. New music added in order to reduce server congestion. The following measures will be implemented temporarily. See, of course, they're going to monitor it. Players who are inactive for 30 minutes will be logged out automatically, and then new areas will be split into multiple instances. The following additions and adjustments have been made to character creation. The default appearance is displayed on the race and clan selection screens. It's been displayed on the clan and race selection screens has been adjusted. Hairstyle can now be limited to favorite only, and hairstyle and face paint options obtained as rewards are now marked accordingly to the aesthetician. Been talking for so long, I'm just stumbling over my words. Characters on accounts with active subscriptions will be prioritized first in login queues. This is actually good, especially for people that have been subscribed for a long time. Uh, support for 64-bit Mac has begun, while 32-bit has ended. Of course, this is Square Enix passwords can be saved on PS4 launcher. Of course, the title screen and opening movie have been changed. Tales of Adventure, A Realm Reborn, and Heaven's Work now be used to unlock glamours. Gunbreaker and Dancer have been added to the solo rankings for Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High. And a whole list of resolved issues and a list of known issues. And that's it. So we got less than 24 hours until the actual expansion launches. And hopefully we don't run into the same fiasco as last year where there was an instance, what was it, level 71, that so many people got to early on and so many people were trying to get in at the same time. And it would just crash your game or crash or kick you out of the server whenever you tried to get into it. And people were like trying to do shit like stand in lines or whatever. Hopefully we don't run into something like that again, and they've kind of learned from last year and the previous year before, or the previous expansion before that. But yeah, this video was actually much longer than I thought it would be. We're about an hour and 7 minutes in as I speak, so hopefully, everything's going to work out tomorrow. Uh, but yeah, that's the patch notes. And a lot of it was actually in preliminary patch notes. I don't remember seeing a lot of new stuff, but I wanted to go over it anyway. Yeah, I'll probably split this into 2 videos, but I'm gonna call it here. I'll see you in the stream tomorrow if you show up. Other than that, I'll catch you in the next video.